Okay, you know the drill. This is the video guide to the north face of Pioneer Peak. So let's dive in. All right, so we've got the obligatory Onyx Backcountry map open on our desktop, and let's start diving in. So, general zone, this is where Pioneer Peak is. This is Anchorage, Alaska. This is Girdwood. So North Star, couloir is here. This is the major metropolis of Anchorage, and we're going to be driving somewhat north to the town of Palmer, Alaska. So the shots and the scenics that you saw were shot from Palmer, in and around Palmer, and this is the line up there. So our hotel room was kind of right downtown, looking straight up at this line because this line just is beautiful. I think the first time I really noticed Pioneer Peak was a decade plus ago, driving through Palmer to head to Alaska, or to head to Valdez or to head to Talkeetna. You kind of drive through this area while going to other parts of Alaska, and it's just like so prominent that you can't help but notice, Pioneer Peak. So getting there, we left Palmer, went around the old Glen Highway, where there is a bike path, and then crossed the Connect River, and this is the base of it. So the stats of the line itself, let's click on it. So again, somehow the recording is pretty off. I'm not entirely sure why, but it is tops out at 6,200 feet. You start at 55 feet, so nearly sea level. So yeah, about just over 6,000 vert. These numbers are incorrect. There was something in my track editing that got messed up, so don't count that. The line itself, as I say in the video, it's a pretty burly line. It's got a little bit of everything. I think, to me, it's got everything that a ski mountaineer would want. So let's just kind of walk through the stages of this line, and maybe you can learn about it. Maybe you could dream about doing it one day yourself. So this is the parking lot, parked on the side of the road. Pull up this photo, just kind of right here is where the entrance is. So parked on the side of the road. One thing I heard from Dimitri and from others is that you don't want stuff in your car. You might get some meth head that comes by here and wants to break in. We didn't have anything happen, and we had a lot of stuff in our car. We couldn't avoid it, but it's definitely kind of nerve-wracking because I generally think people know if you're parked here, you're going up into the mountains. You're either going to be right on the Connect River or you're going up. But parking's a short jaunt away from where this begins. So the entrance to it, it's about as obvious as it gets. You will see a rib of snow going straight from the highway, and you start going up that. You start going up this canyon. So this canyon itself, it's going to be like frozen debris. It's just nasty in there. Couldn't decide between ski touring and boot packing, so we kind of like did half and half. I started kind of boot packing. Those guys switched to ski touring. I got ahead of them, and then they passed me, so then I switched over. Do whatever you feels best, but it's just ugly, frozen, runneled avalanche debris. As you keep going up, it's 1,000 feet before you're kind of even remotely feeling like you're into the mountain itself. This is at about 1,000 feet up. You can see, you kind of feel like you're starting to get into the gun barrel, and that is the feeling of this entire line, is you're kind of in the line of fire for any sort of overhead avalanche hazard the entire time. So when you're in these walls, you definitely feel like, man, if anything were to come down right now, it'd have to be big. And you better be smart enough to know not go for this line when the avalanche conditions are elevated, because if you were in here and something big came down, you are smoked. But it still gives you that kind of like nervous feeling. You're just like, there's avalanche debris, there's tight walls, you're going up this like slot canyon, and you're like, it just has that feeling like you're in the gun barrel. After about 1,000 feet, this is a key move. There is ways to go to the right, but most of the videos I've seen, the blogs posted, all the information that's out there about these kinds of places, especially this line in particular, is to veer left. So at this fork in the road that is right here, you want to start veering left. I think this stuff goes, but it ends up being a bit more complex when it comes to some of the ice climbing, potentially mixed climbing. And then you're actually under this hazard for a longer period of time. So bumping out, this is about the location of the ice fall. The ice fall, I can give you a little kind of rundown of it. So water ice 2 to 2.5 is what Dimitri and others would say. I don't really know water ice grading system that well. What I would rate it as is somewhere between 20 to 40 feet of moderate ice climbing. We opted to solo it, free solo it. It felt like it was kind of easy enough, and the consequences were low enough that it didn't feel warranted to set protection, lead climb it, have a belay, and all that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, of course, falling would be bad. Honestly, it was soft enough and small enough that if you fell off this, to me, like, not much is gonna happen. Like, you might twist an ankle, at worst break a leg, but you're definitely not gonna die. So it's pretty moderate. We didn't even bring a lead climbing kind of rope, a dynamic rope, just a wrap rope. So here's a couple other photos. You know, the down low, you can tell it's more like in the 50-degree to 60-degree water ice, not even vertical. And then that makes it look a little bit more vertical, but it was pretty moderate, I would say. So you definitely want to know how to ice climb. And if you aren't that confident, definitely bring the adequate protection. But it's also kind of easy enough where we felt it wasn't necessary. Getting in, so through here, you're still going up like a gully. You aren't getting up till out of this gully till about 2,500 vert. So in the episode where we kind of take a break is right around this zone, and this is when you really feel like you're in the amphitheater. When you're down in that kind of couloir, you just don't feel like you're even going up the mountain. You're just kind of in a tunnel and you can't see anything on the way up. So when you get to here, you get to get that first sensation of like, whoa, where are we? And this is where you all kind of rechecked in with each other. Hey, how's the winds? How's the temps? How's the snow feeling? All that kind of stuff. Are we good to proceed? We felt good, so we kept moving. Started to ski tour. You can see this was easy ski touring, just like perfect, nice Canadian style 14-degree skin track with minimal amounts of kick turns, just super efficient. Just cruising our way up. You can kind of see again, yeah, it's almost the same photo, but making our way up into this amphitheater. Once we get over there, once you get kind of to the top of this bowl is kind of where you're going to like traverse over to get into this mixed climbing. This track right here is actually our down track. So getting to this point, you kind of choose your own adventure. We thought keeping our skins on the longest period of time was going to be beneficial. Right here is kind of where we transitioned to the crampons and plates. So this mixed climbing, if you will, it's not like traditional mixed climbing, but it's just wallowy and or thin. So for some reason, this zone doesn't fill in with snow very well. I think it's probably because it's steep, because avalanches come through and flush it out and kind of like strip the snow down. Just reading other people's reports and whatnot, it's always pretty thin in here. This is almost like the second crux. If this doesn't go through, you know, if this isn't filled in, pardon me, then you're not going to be able to like climb this nor want to ski it because it's just kind of thin. We just noticed there's like very little holds. You're kind of like searching for axe placements, couple little awkward moves, not very exposed by any means. But here it gets wallowy, there it gets thin, and it's just weird kind of feeling. You, like I said, if you fall, you're not going to die, but it would suck. You would tumble, probably hurt yourself. So this is kind of the second crux, and there's a bit of route finding. Going up this couloir to the right looks really good, but then it cliffs out. You do like serious mixed climbing. So going up this ramp that's kind of right here, it's hard to really tell is the true spot you want to go. And then once you get to about 4,500 feet, that's when the upper couloir kind of comes to be. So the couloir itself is around 2,000 vert, and it is just prime time A-grade skiing. So coming out into this couloir, heading right up it, we just put your head down and start boot packing. You're concerned a little bit about some of the overhead hazard that is above you up into this section. But for the most part, there isn't too much overhead hazard once you're in here. The majority of the overhead hazard feels like when you're down kind of in this zone. Up here, you are exposed. So smaller slough could flush you off these cliffs that are right down in here. But again, this is not a line to go ski on a questionable avalanche day, like moderate to low, like low being preferred. So we had said like we were in the snow an absolute ton, so we were kind of used to what was going on in the snowpack and very confident to it. This is where the pitch starts ramping up, and this is like a downward look at it, so you can kind of just see this just beautiful slot, this couloir that just has that perfect pitch. I just couldn't enjoy skiing this more. It's like 45 to 47 degrees, which is just a sweet spot for enjoyable skiing. Enjoyable as hell. And then we're going to get up into this zone. Okay, and this is like the third crux. So in the episode, you probably saw me get really wedged up into here. I definitely, when it's that thin, I thought I could do Vivian Boucher downside up. Didn't quite work. Should have down climbed it. Got myself in a tricky position. Luckily got out of it. And you can kind of see, I didn't know exactly what to do. It was steep enough where it was like, I was trying to think about like just hop turning over it, but I couldn't get really good purchase. And I was worried about like this downhill aspect, putting my tips into the rock to kind of do a hop turn. It was pretty slick rock, so I just didn't have that great confident feeling. The way the rocks was angled, how steep the pitch was. It was just kind of I put myself in a bad situation. Luckily I got out of it. If it's this thin like it was, then I just recommend down climbing it. And then to the top. The top itself is as beautiful it gets. I mean, it is steep, around 50, I would say, and just straight shot back down to the Kinnick River. Like, to me, it's just like that kind of relief is so amazing. I was so psyched being up there and just looking down. You're like, wow, we're going to ski all the way back down to the car. Steep again. We unfortunately got this the day after another crew got there. So, like I said in the episode, it's a prized line. It's a classic line. In my book, it seems like a lot of Alaskans are going after this because it's right there. It's really prominent. It's got everything. So that's the most basic of the line itself. Let's go into a few little aspects with the map itself. So I want to get to slope angle first. We got all of this 45 plus. So it's steep. Alaska. That's awesome. Let's go check our slope aspects. So again, it's pretty much due north facing. You can kind of see here with this aspect map, there is not much else but north. So it holds good snow, even after big warm-ups. My recommendation, like I said in the episode, going the day after the warmest day is always a good practice in the mountains. And in this one particular, you're still going to get good snow, and you're going to let things that have a little bit more solar aspect get flushed out of it. Let's see. I want to see what the eights. I don't know if we don't have eights up in Alaska yet, so unfortunately. As far as the land goes, the private land, government land, this is Chugach State Park in this zone. So for us and like drone regulations, they do not allow drones. So we did not fly drones there, just so you know that. You can kind of see this is BLM land and this is Chugach State Park land. So just so you know, right along the river. Otherwise, anything else that I gotta deal with the map right now? No, I mean, this line is as straightforward as it gets. You park on the road and you boot 6,000 feet straight up it. You got mixed climbing, you got ice climbing, you got steep climbing. It's got everything. To me, this line is just like the embodiment of ski mountaineering. This was one of the best days of the season last year. I really enjoyed it. This is a line I think that you're going to want to be fit for. You're going to have a lot of technical skills and be very aware of what's going on in the snowpack. Don't just show up to Alaska and think you're going to get out of the car and go ride this. Like, you want to have a lot of confidence in the snow. So, if there's any other questions, shoot them in the comments. I'll do my best to ask. Otherwise, thanks for watching.